Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia. Let's talk books. And with Nonfiction November gearing up, I thought I would come on here and share some of my recommendations for historical nonfiction. It's not a category that's for everyone for sure, but as someone who reads a lot of nonfiction for a living as part of my job, what I realized was that I actually have a bunch of books that are nonfiction, historical, and that are very, very readable and that I would recommend for a wider audience. And I'd like to tell you about some of them. So let's get started because I have a bit of a stack here to share. The first two are specific on the French Revolution. If you are at all interested in the French Revolution, these two books I think are really fantastic. This first one is called Writing the Revolution, A French Woman's History in Letters by Lindsay A.H. Parker. This is a very short, it's not super long book. It is a little bit academic, but the way that Parker writes is super engaging. In addition, because you're focusing on one woman in particular and then her family, you are getting a much more personal view of the revolution itself. It is not a full view of the revolution. She was a Republican, not a monarchist, and kind of more on the radical side of the revolution. She wrote a lot during the revolution though, and so you are able to kind of dissect all of her letters and get a nice overview of the revolution through it. And that's what Parker does so well in here. I have used this in a class in the past, and this was the book that students really, really loved. And that's why I think that if you are someone who's interested in reading nonfiction on the French Revolution, this would be a good place to start because it gives you an overview. It deals with issues of gender and class and does it really, really well. Another book on the French Revolution is Timothy Tackett's When the King Took Flight. I really enjoy using Tackett in class, and I think this is the one that is most approachable for a wider audience. The whole book is really analyzing that moment when King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette tried to flee France during the Revolution. They tried to go to Austria, which is where Marie Antoinette's brother is Holy Roman Emperor. And spoiler alert, it's unsuccessful. But Tackett analyzes this moment as a key turning point in the revolution. This is basically one of the legal reasons why both Louis and Marie Antoinette are going to get their heads chopped off. So really key moment, very readable. It is taking one moment in history and really kind of digging through it. And so if you like that kind of thing, this is a really excellent, really readable one, I think. Now, if the French Revolution is not your thing, I know a more popular topic for people that are into history is World War II. So I have two recommendations for World War II. The first is Still Alive, A Holocaust Girlhood Remembered by Ruth Kluger. So it's a Holocaust memoir. It is unlike a lot of other Holocaust memoirs though. It doesn't really follow the same narrative as books like Night by Eli Wiesel, but it is incredibly moving and insightful. Like the way Ruth Kluger talks and how honest she is really like breathtaking. I love this story so much. I have had the opportunity to meet Ruth Kluger, and she is an incredible woman, and I think this is one that more people need to be reading. This was really big in Europe when it was released, but it never made as big of a splash in the US, and I think more people definitely need to read it. Another nonfiction book set during World War II is Between Dignity and Despair, Jewish Life in Nazi Germany. This by Marion Kaplan, by the way. Kaplan writes in a way that is incredibly accessible, and I think that's the theme with some of this nonfictions. A lot of these academics, these are all professors, write in a way that is very, like, they're telling stories. So they're storytellers, and that makes the history much more accessible than reading a dry textbook, and that's why I'm recommending this one. It also focuses on the way in which gender and class impacted Jews in Nazi Germany. She is very specifically, though, looking at like middle class and upper class Jews in Germany. So we're not looking at kind of working class people here, and yet the story is so compelling. It is heartbreaking. So it's not, you gotta be in the right mood for this kind of story, but she uses a lot of excerpts from people's diaries, from kind of Jewish pamphlets, things like that. And so it is really looking at this period before the deportations, before the ghettos, and before the death camps, and looking at it through the eyes of Jews in Germany. Really incredible book. All right, out of the modern era and into the ancient world. SPQR, A History of Ancient Rome by Marion is a really great book for people who are interested in Roman history. It's a long book, and I actually do really recommend the audiobook. I think it's done really well, and you get a lot of history, a lot of cultural elements on here, a lot of social history along with the political stuff. So I think if you think a lot of the histories that do like ancient Greece and Rome can be really dry, political, this one does not do that at all, and she is an incredible scholar, so highly recommend that one. Another one that I really recommend for the ancient world is The Amazons, Lives and Legends of Warrior Women Across the Ancient World by Adrienne Mayer. Another really incredible book that really kind of delves into the lives of women. Here specifically, obviously, warrior women in the ancient world. So this one's a great for feminists, for anyone that wants to study women and kind of warfare and conflict. This is really great. This is another one where I would probably, I haven't listened to an audiobook on this, and I don't know if there's even an audiobook, but I imagine that this kind of book is also ideal in an audiobook because it's long, right? But the stories in here are super compelling. Highly recommend. Now, the last two recommendations I have are kind of general overviews. They don't focus on one particular time period, but they do focus on one topic, and that is Paris. This first one's called Paris, The Biography of a City by Colin Jones. Colin Jones is an academic, but he writes for a popular audience, and so most of his books are incredibly approachable and easy to read. This one is a long one, but again, very readable and is easy to take in chunks because chapters are divided into different time periods, right, of the history of Paris. And so you don't have to read it all in one sitting. And if you are at all into Paris, you're just gonna love it. It's just plain and simple. He weaves in there a lot of anecdotes and individual stories, and I think anyone that loves Paris is going to love this book. Another one that I think is really good on the history of Paris is 7 Ages of Paris by Alistair Horne. So this one is a bit smaller than the Colin Jones, but so you're not getting as much of an overview as the Colin Jones, but this one is focusing on like particular time periods, key points, and you're still getting a very good history of Paris, right? From kind of the ancient early modern period, actually from the early modern period to 1969, so kind of the post-war period there. So it's not till today. Neither one of these books comes all the way to the present. So they do stop. So this one stops in 1969. And when does the Colin Jones stop? Let me take a quick look. Okay, this one gets close, 1995. So see, the breadth of this one is wider. This one's much more focused, but if you want a good history, I think this one works as well. Really well done. And I think a lot of people will really enjoy it. I am going to stop here because I could go on and on talking about works of nonfiction. I don't think I'm going to participate in Nonfiction November. I have wanted to in the past, but I haven't because I have to be honest, a lot of my nonfiction reading is not really for fun, it's for work. From time to time, I will pick a work of nonfiction that has nothing to do with my teaching, nothing to do with my research, but a lot of it just is. It's a normal part of my life that I'm constantly reading nonfiction, so I don't even track it on Goodreads or anything like that because it's work. It just goes into the work category for me. But you can tell here that I'm a historian of France. I do French history because a lot of these recommendations are French history. For sure, these are all books that I've read in the context of either grad school or in preparation for teaching particular courses. So these have either been read while I was a student or with students in mind, right? So these are not going to be like super difficult. They're not going to contain a lot of jargon. They're going to be much more readable, approachable, more story-like than kind of thicker academic books. So don't be scared off by any of these or by my profession. I think these are very readable. And if you've read any of these or plan on reading them, please let me know. I'd love to hear what your thoughts on these are. And that is it for me, but thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.